Meeting to order, roll call show that everybody's here, and we'll say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, it's not in the right order.
No, it's not.
I put it in the middle because somebody called and complained after seeing it on the news. Somebody must have changed it again.
There, is that the right side?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we
Someone's 700 for
Thank you.
go. All right, we have an agenda before us. Is there any changes that anybody would like to make?
I have none, Mr. Mayor.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any additional discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? You have an agenda. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to pull off the consent agenda?
We'd like to pull 4-6.
Yeah, I'd like to move 4-6 on new business. We have some questions.
Question. New business. All about 7. Where do you want to put it?
7.35. Squish it between the grant requests and the donation
Okay,
requests.
that's good. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
So
Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
moved with 4-6 pull.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That carries. That brings us to open forum. This is the part of the meeting where the public is encouraged to let us know what's on their mind if it's not somewhere else on the agenda. Now's your chance if you want to. All right, we'll move on to old business. We have none of that tonight, so we'll move to new business. Wine and Spirits grant request for the Chamber of Commerce and Tourism.
Good evening. My name is Kim Young. I'm from the Princeton Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Just got a text from my brother-in-law telling me my headlights out. Thanks for that. That's what I got pulled over for.
On time.
Free enjoyment, but no, that was not me.
So I'm here to request, should I just talk about both? Since I have kind of 2 in a row, or do you want those separated?
Yeah, you can do both of them. We'll deal with them at the end.
Okay. So I sent a letter, it's probably in your packets, about all the things that we've done, in general this year with the Princeton Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. And once again, it seems like it's a repeat every year of things that we're doing collaboratively in the community. We really like to work with other organizations on the things that we do. And as you can see from the list that I've sent you on how the money was spent this past year, it was really all in collaboration. So as a member of Age Friendly Princeton, we each month we put out a calendar. We found that we had a lot of seniors who were saying that we're not on social media, we don't know what's going on. And so we have created these monthly calendars that we have printed, and we hang them in 11 specific locations around town where we know that seniors can see them and, can access them this way. At Sterling Point, they make copies of these and set them out for families to take with them to do fun activities with the people that are staying at Sterling Point. And so that's been a really popular thing that we've done with Age Friendly Princeton, among other things. Today we started a Facebook page, so we're excited about that. The Rum River Festival, we work with the City of Princeton, as you know, very closely on the Rum River Festival. And in 2024, this year, we're going to be bringing the world's largest rubber duck to Princeton. You've probably seen it on social media. The rubber duck is over 6 stories high. And, we're still trying to finalize the location, but the hope is to get it downtown Princeton so that we can really, get people there to shop and go to restaurants. And we're told that it'll bring a significant economic impact to our community. So, we are seeking donations from businesses and organizations right now, and they are coming in, but any shortfall we have, we will use part of this donation to go toward that, toward marketing. We want to market it throughout the entire state into Wisconsin. We're told that the only place that it's ever been up in Minnesota is in Duluth. So we're really lucky to have it here in Princeton. I think it's gonna be fun. And I put that out a couple days ago, and I think that the event has 3,000 people that have responded that they're interested in attending. And we haven't put any marketing dollars behind it yet, so it should be fun. It'll be a good time.
Can I speak a little bit about what you shared with us? That big rubber duck, when it first was launched, was in California.
Mhm.
And people from all over the world, Japan and everywhere, came just to see that rubber duck.
Yeah, it's like people say it's like a religion. They follow this thing everywhere.
Yeah.
I just, because I was, the guy told me that it's gonna bring a lot of people to your town, and so I kind of was like, why? And he said, it's crazy. They just, they come from everywhere. So we're really excited about it. The businesses, we're gonna do a paint the town yellow. We already have Sunken Ship Brewery that's put out a thing with a big rubber duck behind their brewery. They're already planning events for it. So it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. And then Light Up Princeton is another thing that we collaborate with the city of Princeton very closely on. And this coming year, we're gonna be collaborating with the Mille Lacs County Fair as well. We just got approval to move the event to the fairgrounds, there's so many positives for doing that, and we are super excited about it. And so I can talk about that request now, because what we do with the money that we request from the city council for the Light Up Princeton is we put it out like a grant request, and we give 20, no, how do we do this? I gotta do the math now, $400 to 5 organizations and that apply for the money. And then they have to bring at least 10 volunteers to help, 3 groups to set up, 2 groups to take down every year. And we do that, and it's just a nice way to have sports organizations and other organizations come and raise a little bit of money for their organization and then volunteer to help us set up too. So that's that request specifically for Light Up Princeton. Let's see. And then also tourism is something that I just wanted to briefly touch on, that we've used some money toward that as well. One thing that we did is, here, it's right here. We created these table tents that the American agreed to put in every single one of their rooms. And you remember they used to have, you go into a hotel and they have the books there, and you can go, where are we gonna order pizza? And you flip through the book, and well, they don't have those in hotels anymore. And so we created this, and so it goes just like play here goes directly to events, dine here goes to restaurants, shop here goes to retail. And it goes specifically to websites that say like, welcome American guests to Princeton. And so then we can track the visits and see how much it's being utilized. So that's one of the many things that we have done. We just did our 20th podcast. And we have lots of big plans for 2024 with tourism. So the big giant duck is part of it. And I forgot to mention with Age Friendly Princeton, we put together these cards along with the city about places that people can go indoor walking as we were planning for the brutal winter that was coming up. We really haven't had to do much indoor walking this year. So, and then the other side of the card is gathering and games, where it's a way to get people who might be needing some socialization, maybe some older people that are alone and sit in their apartment and just want to get out and do some fun things that they can get together with others and play games. Senior dining, we found out, is one that's really popular. They have a lot of people there, and they're playing rummy, 500. Can't remember what they're doing, but
Yeah, it was a couple,
kind of started like a card club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're making little like card holders and little.
yeah.
For all
Oh, yeah.
elderly that.
Wooden card holder.
Yeah, so that they pass it around so that they have a draw pile and
Yeah, they're
everybody
super
can
fun.
reach, and the cards are a little bit bigger to read, and they even have a shuffler that shuffles for them. And so, we have a lot going on, and so, we plan to put the money to good use and with all of the collaborative things that we do in Princeton. So, those are my two requests.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Kim? Well, she's still standing there.
Nope. Well, I thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we have two grant requests. Let's do them one at a time. 7.1 is the $10,000 grant request. I'm on the wrong page. Does anybody have any questions about that? I mean, it's something we've done for, gosh, I don't know how many years now.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was like, you know, I just wonder, I'm thinking myself, we didn't increase the amount, like what, $5,000 out of the liquor fund in our budget this year.
Correct. Total amount that you have to give is 25,000.
We never leave money on the table, but then again, things do cost more, and maybe it's time to start looking at bumping it a little bit.
Oh, I thought we bumped the total because we were having to turn people away at the end.
Yeah, we were slightly
Yeah.
over last year.
That's why we added to it. So,
The request is there. I think anybody's, I'll speak for myself. I don't see any reason to make that amount smaller, so.
No, but I would like to make a motion to approve the 10,000.
second,
Motion made and second. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Then we'll go to the Light Up Princeton grant request. So you said that's gonna move to the fairgrounds?
Yeah, this year, yep.
Then you won't have to worry about it floating down the river. then.
No, we'll float down the river, we can close it for vandalism purposes, lock it up, it'll be nice.
well, and everyone going up and down 169, we'll see.
Yes. Yeah,
That'll be huge.
It'll make a nice drive through, go in one gate and all the others.
yep, yeah, and we can grow it that way too.
But, yeah, I have to go with that.
Oh, that'd be good to look forward to. All right, any questions on this one? Take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the grant request for Light Up Princeton.
Second. Motion made and seconded, additional discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
That was an I. I was
Well, you-
not an opposed.
You
I was just,
you made a noise when it was time to say yes. Okay, that's good. All right, that's 5-0, everybody likes that idea too. So
Aye.
Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
thanks, Kim.
All right, see you, Kim. Sorry.
All right, that brings us to the Princeton Ambassador.
There's a crew of us here today. Hello, my name is Jennifer and I'm here alongside Tracy, and we are two of the board members with the Princeton Ambassador Program. Hello, my name is Natalie Kindler and I'm one of the Princeton Ambassadors this year.
Hi, my name is Lucy Beckers and I'm one of the little misses this year.
Today, we are here to speak to you about our program and request the city's financial assistance again this year to allow us to provide scholarships and opportunities for the young women in our community who are involved with the Princeton Ambassador Program.
Since 1956, women from the Princeton have traveled Minnesota sharing their hometown pride honorably. Our network of a royal alumni include professionals working both locally, nationally, and internationally within a wide range of career paths.
Our mission statement is the Princeton Ambassador Program is a scholarship program dedicated to the professional growth of young, compassionate women who strive to represent and serve their community.
Each year, the Princeton Ambassador Board of Directors work with ambassadors to provide opportunities to learn the power of networking, mentoring with business leaders, to prepare for college and business experiences. The ambassador program works to educate the ladies on the strength of our community and the importance of promoting these strengths outside of the community. Every year in June, we select up to 3 young ladies to represent Princeton during the Rum River Festival as Princeton and represent the Princeton area as Princeton ambassadors. In the past 8 years, the program has presented over $15,000 in scholarship money to 22 young women pursuing college degrees. These college funds would not be possible if it weren't for the support and the donations and the fundraising that we do.
Our program is funded entirely through scholarships we get from local community businesses, donations, and fundraising. The funds are used for scholarships. The ambassadors are awarded a scholarship after they complete their reign, and it's paid directly to the college or the trade school they attend. Float, upkeep, maintenance, and insurance for our float and our trailer. Our float appears in parades all across Minnesota and serves as a promotion for our community. And it bears the city of Princeton logo on the back of it. The money also goes towards wardrobe. Ambassadors receive a small wardrobe to be worn at events and meetings and other occasions. It also goes towards travel expenses and event fees. Candidacy, like the signage, the candidate and coronation expenses. And then Little Miss Princeton and junior ambassador expenses. So in addition to the Princeton ambassadors we have every year, we also select 2 to 3 between girls between the ages of 8 and 10, and 2 to 3 girls between the ages of 11 and 15. These girls get to experience many of the same activities as our older ambassadors, and they also gain a positive role model and mentor in building relationships with the older ambassadors.
The Princeton Ambassador Program is an asset to our community. Our ambassadors network within the community by helping out with local events such as Public Safety Day, Santaville, the Early Childhood Fair, and volunteering at local businesses such as Twice New Thrift Store, bell ringing for the Salvation Army. When visiting communities across the state of Minnesota, we have the opportunity to educate them on our wonderful community of Princeton and encourage them to come visit our town and our Rum River Festival. We are instilling volunteerism in the next generation. Our ambassadors learn as well as show others through example how important it is to volunteer and give back to the communities that made them who they are.
Princeton ambassadors learn many life skills such as public speaking, poise, and etiquette, the importance of being prompt, and career skills such as resume and cover letter writing, interviewing skills, and networking.
This month, we have begun our candidate search. We are excited and hopeful that our program will continue to grow, and we will have the opportunity to continue to work with the young leaders in our wonderful Princeton community. So thank you on behalf of the board for your time this evening and for your continued support.
Oh, I enjoyed that presentation a lot. That was very good. That was great. Oh, yeah, that was wonderful.
Anybody have questions?
The only question I have on here is on the request form. It says, has the group received, funds within the last 12 months? And it says no, but I'm pretty sure we did last year.
Yes, you did.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we do every year.
Yeah. I think it was the same amount, $2,500.
I just want to say both my girls participated in this when they were younger. Great experience, and it's great that we have a face for Princeton to represent us in other communities, and so many events. It's really a wonderful program and a huge commitment for all of you.
Yeah, and the volunteering you do in the community is fantastic, especially with the Civic Betterment Club, which is the oldest organization, pushing 110. So thank you so much for all you do for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve $2,500.
Second.
Motion made in second. Is there additional discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to add, I want to ask how many parades you go to, but it does say in the application, 35 for appearances. That's what's on the app. And I have a niece that was Miss Princeton in 1991. So.
That sounds correct. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me here.
I get the point I was going to make was you represent us, you do such a fantastic job representing Princeton all over the state.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the grant request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is work. All right, now that brings us to the original 4.6. Approval of licenses for the Mellow Fellow. Okay, what are the questions?
Well, it just showed up in the consent agenda and there was no like information about it. So I wanted to kind of move it so we could kind of discuss. I looked up who the Mellow Fellow was and it looks like they have a store up in Malacca. Looks like it's well run. I don't have any questions about that. My only questions would be about what we put in place as far as our ordinances about location, not close to school or daycare and those kinds of things. And I just want to make sure that we've had the opportunity to make sure wherever they're requesting and wanting to put a store, follow all our guidelines. What their plan is or anything about it.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we are in the process even right now, just doing the background. So, that's not back yet. So, I mean, that's ultimately the step is to make sure that, you know, the background passes, so to speak. But I would agree that I think that there's some work we gotta do here a little bit on, I think Sean has reached out to them or to him to at least get what specifically are we selling, which I think is important. And then to determine if that falls in the category of our, you know, our schools and daycare ordinance, which is 1,000 feet. So we need to do a little bit of homework here on exactly where the store location is. And then I'm assuming that our city attorney is gonna need to get in to play with this in regards to property lines versus door lines. That'll be my magical question of not sure how to answer that. So,
Yeah.
So I do believe we have a little bit of work here before we would approve anything. That would be at least my opinion.
I agree.
Maybe we should table this until the background check is approved.
And
then
other
we can
research
discuss.
required.
If they're ready. Oh, they're ready. Okay.
Should I make a motion to table this?
I guess I just did.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table until the background check is approved, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, we confirm the distances. Find out where.
No, then it doesn't mean that we can't table it again if we still need more time, so.
I just want to make sure we do it right if we're gonna do it.
But I don't remember, you know, there's a number limit on how many of these businesses there can be. I don't remember that part either. I mean, this isn't the dispensary.
But that's under the new,
The new.
the new recreational.
Oh, yeah,
This
that's-
is under the old non-recreational stuff.
So I think there's gonna need to be some clarification on if that applies or doesn't apply. Because I would agree that that's kind of what I wrote down is there is a limit on the county on how many that you can have, but how I interpret it would be the new state law
Well,
versus the old one that we have that nobody can provide guidance for.
yeah, well, and, you know, this is the same person that's planning on opening the dispensary in Malacca. Does that mean that he's expecting to do that here as well? So, yeah, and that's a question that we'll have to grapple with at some point too, I suppose. All right, we have motion to table. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye, opposed? Carries, that is tabled. All right. Curbside waste solicitor permit. Did I miss one? Oh, yeah, we got donations. I'm sorry. Donation from Twice New for the flower project.
They just keep dropping checks off.
I know.
It's nice to see the flowers in the boxes and
Mhm.
the hangers, so. And
Yeah, I know.
And I appreciate, somebody driving around and watering them too. I don't know how you managed to get that to happen, but thank you for that.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 24-08. Thousand donation from Princeton twice in full.
Motion made and seconded. Additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Price new clothing for the police department. Is Duke dropping off?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yeah, we had a wonderful conversation with them. They reached out to us and the officers and myself put together kind of a list of stuff that aren't normally within budgetary type stuff, whether it's educational material and stuff like that. So a check showed up and we are extremely excited, so.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Make a motion to approve the resolution 24-809. Not $7,000.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. And it's here. We had a finance director that said the liquor store was the cash cow. I think this is.
Absolutely there. Yeah, okay.
Donated to us last year.
It was like $16,000 or $18,000 or something like that. It was.
Yeah. Awesome. Drop off all your stuff with Choice and
That's the only place I
I take my stuff.
Me too.
I don't even leave town. Well, thank you. Follow it all the way down from Malaga.
All right, now we get to the curbside waste solicitor permit request.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as you can see by the memo, this is the company that we've had quite a few complaints on. Therefore, I am personally recommending we deny it. They don't have a very good business reputation. I saw lots and lots of complaints. Heard stories of things they were telling people in town. One of them was that Ace Garbage was closing and they were coming to, get their customers. So people are not very happy.
Yeah, and that wasn't even true.
No.
And the recurring concerns about them violating the law of dumping garbage and recycling in the same truck.
Yeah, I got a call on that too.
All right, so what do you want to do, guys?
How do we, I guess, I'm opposed to not approving, but how do we enforce that? And say if they are still out somewhere in a quadrant neighborhood,
I actually believe that was probably them this afternoon that Karen notified me. They were right out here, so I called over to the PD and had them send an officer over.
so if they either, you can just tell them.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I'm pretty sure it was them.
Do they currently have a license to pick up their offense? They do, okay. I mean, are we on a solid footing denying this permit?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, legally?
Yeah, our ordinance states they
Yeah,
have.
670.04
Mm-hmm.
protects us at the bottom of the middle.
But that only mentions a few complaints and they've had 60 some just on the Better.
Yeah, 66 and.
Yep.
March 2021.
It's
a problem, a local or.
They're Brooklyn Center, right?
Yeah.
That's the business I was in. I'm familiar with the company, so I'm not going to.
We're not hurting for it. So I don't think we need to.
All right, so did somebody make a motion yet?
So,
To deny?
deny.
Oh, second.
Motion made and second to deny the solicitor's permit request. Oh, yes, just, that they can't go around it.
Yeah.
Twist arm. All right, any discussion? None, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Carries. Yeah, you got people knocking on your door, and I don't do it all the time, but, I mean, we're not talking about, hockey team or Girl Scouts or anything, but ask them for their permit if they're knocking on the door. It's easy to not do, but They just put them on notice to say, what, you have to have a permit to do that?
Well, and I sent them several emails and they were ignoring me. So.
Yeah, you even tried calling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on, fire department.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to give, the council an update as to how we're working through the transition. I'd like to thank, Assistant Chief Akari and, Bob and Todd, for pulling together along with, soon to be retired Chief Lawrence. And working through the sharing and transferring of knowledge. We've been meeting weekly. I'm working with, the fire executive board, kind of keeping them a little on the organized side, attending their meetings. Captain Thompson actually does the meeting minutes, but working with them as a team to set their agendas. Bob is taking on payroll and budgeting, and he participated in the equipment inspection that occurred last week. Todd is managing the building, and also providing advice to the assistant chief. We've moved Ron to City Hall. He's currently sharing an office with Senior Accountant Hodge. They're getting along swimmingly. Eventually we'll find a space in the map room for Ron, but for now he's sharing a space. We did submit the job posting to the LMC. I will also be submitting it to the Minnesota State Chiefs Association here shortly. And we decided that we're going to continue to meet weekly after this transition period of this month, just to keep the lines of communication open and make sure that everybody's needs are being met. So I just wanted to give the council an update, let them know, let you guys know that we're pulling together as a team and things I think are going pretty well. Josh is nodding his head, so that's good. So that's it. Unless you have questions, I just want to give you an update.
Very happy about it.
Next item in your packet is the memo that was written by Tom Evanson. He is our vendor representative and salesperson from Fire Equipment Specialties. He met with Bob and Josh on the 12th, so that would have been last week. They inspected all of the equipment at the station and answered questions, looked at the masks. He actually contacted another vendor that sells masks and answered questions about face piece. You'll see his recommended areas of improvement, and it says that he was coming March 12th. That's actually going to be rescheduled because that actually is the night of the township annual meetings. So the members will likely not be present, so they're gonna try to schedule it forward.
I just got confirmation it's gonna be on the 5th, March 5th.
Okay, so a week ahead. So he'll be presenting information on proper care of the equipment, and I believe he's also gonna work through a lot of the reasons that the pants are wearing at the cuffs is because the suspenders need to be replaced or resized. So he'll be working through those with all the members. So we'll be able to solve those issues, although that is not an immediate safety concern because they do have tall boots that they wear, so that do protect them. So if you have questions, you'll have to ask them of Bob and Josh because it wasn't fair.
It appears from this memo that the equipment ones wasn't as unsafe as projected, I guess.
You're correct.
Okay.
It goes back to, as Tom stated in his memo, this goes on to the individual they have a responsibility to maintain their gear. Level of maintenance is lacking, and put it in easier terms to understand. It's like you get a car, you gotta change the oil. You get this gear, you use it, you gotta wash it. Not to get too specific on it, but it's more of a, when you go into a structure fire, carbon accumulates on your gear. Carbon draws in moisture. The ISO-Dry system that they sell us is the highest level of safety that they offer. And the easiest way to maintain that level of safety is washing it. Question was asked at the executive board meeting as to how often that is. And it goes back to how often does someone go into a fire? You have firefighters that they may go to more medicals or may go to more accidents. They may not go into fires. So that number of washings go down. So it's really personal responsibility to maintain your stuff that you're given.
So follow that up, and is that being addressed? Is there gonna be a way to oversight that better, or I don't know what the problem was, why it wasn't being done?
It goes back to personal responsibility.
Each individual.
But it needs some more oversight, or, I mean.
And that's the discussion that we have to have with the executive board to make sure that that's in the officers, that they're doing their due diligence with their companies to make sure that they're maintaining their gear.
Well, and it isn't necessarily just that when it gets covered with soot and all that stuff, that it's not protecting them properly, but it's also full of carcinogens that they're breathing in.
Yeah, cancer causing.
So, I mean, according to this memo, most of the gear was dirty. There's one pair of pants that needed to be repaired. And the rest was all fine.
Yeah.
It's just dirty.
So basically, it's by maintaining it, you'll get your 10 years of life out of the gear as long as you're maintaining it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't maintain it, that curve goes down and the life expectancy goes down.
Well, and the city spent a lot of money on washing machines and
Yes.
that big dryer and.
So we do have an extractor,
Yeah.
and the city has the ability, the firefighters have the ability to maintain their gear. And the machine is there, the detergent is there, the dryer is there. When I was in the service, fire service, and I was done with the fire, I took the time and went down and did my due diligence. And it really falls back onto the firefighters and the officers to be on their firefighters about maintaining it, because you're carrying that crap home to your families.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So wash it, is all I can say.
Yeah.
I have a personal stake in it and it frustrates me.
Well, that was my question, or my concern is if it's been lax, is there a process in place to make it not as lax?
That's one of the policies that we're gonna be working on.
Okay.
Creating a policy for maintaining gear.
Well, and I like that.
Just so it's being addressed.
I like that this guy is willing to come back and train them and explain to them the importance of washing your gear. And he's gonna do it all for free. So that's awesome.
And I don't know what memo I was reading or which operating guideline it was, but absolutely do not take that stuff out of the fire hall
No,
when it's not clean. So, I mean, it's all there, it's ready to go, so. All right, yeah, that's the cancer preventative thing is a big deal too. All right, anything else on the equipment or fire department transition?
No, again, just following up on, items that were raised as concerns, and we're just representing that we were doing our due diligence and working through the issues, and, at some point, Have you talked to Tom about getting those bunker pants repaired, going out for repair?
I gotta see if we have a pair that Matt can wear as a backup, so he can
Okay.
still respond to medical from car accidents, but
Okay,
that is something Tom will be taking with him when he comes.
okay, good. So,
Right. That brings us to fire advisory board information.
correct.
Uh-huh.
So we met on February 7th. We had, all of the members present. We had several fire exec board captains and Assistant Chief Akari was present. We also had the co-chiefs from Malacca that came. We also had retired Chief Roxbury in the audience. It was a good meeting. There was all kinds of discussion. We more or less stayed on the agenda. I haven't done the minutes yet, and done the follow-up on some things that were discussed, but that will be upcoming here. Still, analyzing the numbers. I believe, the council may recall that I did send the packet out to everybody. So you've probably seen the historical, billing numbers. I went back to 2018 and did some recalculations. In your packet tonight, so one of the big topics that was, discussed was the way that the contract reads and the way we calculate the billing. We use the previous year's expenses to calculate what all of the members owe in terms of fire service. And when you read the plain language of the contract, one would be led to believe that you're billing for services rendered, meaning we're billing in 24 for services and expenses that we expended in 23. It was brought up at the meeting, and I need to, Shauna, you're gonna have to help me dig through past meeting minutes, going back decades maybe. It was brought up at the meeting that no, we're paying for this year's service based on last year's expenses, which in my logical mind says, well, that puts the city behind in terms of the revenue stream, because your current year's expenses are typically higher. Occasionally they go down, but not very often, are typically higher than the previous year's expenses. So
Doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
And so there was a lot of discussion about when Spencer Brook came back into the fold, that they prepaid, and then there was an estimate made, and that then they paid extra. And we base again on the contract. I don't deduct the revenue payments that we get from the townships when I calculate the previous year's expenses. So it was stated, and I have not followed up with Blue Hill, because the bills have not gone out. But it was stated by Representative Hiller that Blue Hill would not be paying for 2023 as they had already paid when they paid the 2023 payment based on 2022 expenses. So I recalculated the billing amounts, subtracting out Blue Hill. And you can see the original billing amounts with Blue Hill, the billing amounts, the resultant billing amounts after I removed Blue Hill. Obviously, everybody else's prorated share goes up. So that's the difference. And so at this point, I'm not sure how the council wants to handle this. If you look at the second page of the memo, I calculated the 2025 bill based on the approved budget numbers. And we are basically back in line in terms of this year's billing and the proposed 2025 billing based on the adopted budget and the assumed expenses, assuming we don't have any catastrophic repairs or anything like that, that obviously our crystal ball can't always anticipate. So I guess I'm looking for some direction from the council. If we were to absorb the 60,000 that Blue Hill may or may not pay, we would be looking at probably just taking that from reserves and doing a budget amendment for 2023.
Why would we absorb it?
I'm not saying we should, I'm just stating that that would be the option, so.
But they do owe it.
I believe they owe it, but
Has Blue Hill told you they're not paying for it?
no, I have not sent the, I have not sent the preliminary billings out as of right now. And I've not reached out to Mr. Artman, and I will do so, but I wanted to bring this to the council's attention and get some feedback and discussion moving forward.
So Damien, what is your take on what the contract says and how the billing works?
I get the same opinion of Michelle as far as how it reads and how logically it would work. My sense is, send them the bill. If they refuse to pay it, then we might have to go to litigation when it comes to that.
Fine. I don't think the taxpayers for Princeton should absorb $60,000 because they don't want to pay their bill. Because
You're already paying our fire bill here. We're paying
we're
already.
paying our portion.
Yep.
We paid more in the past because of how, I won't even get into that, but we're not gonna keep doing that anymore. So,
But don't we have to establish if we have a legal? I mean, as far as they're concerned, I don't know this, I'm just saying, they probably clearly they already paid.
And they very well may have that belief or they may have that feeling, but that doesn't mean that legally that's correct.
No, I'm not doing that.
And part of it's gonna probably, there's gonna be
We're gonna have to find, we're gonna have to come up with something to prove that. And it sounds like there's a confusion here, what I'm hearing, unless I'm mishearing.
Well, I can only tell you what was said at the meeting, and I'm bringing the information to the council for discussion.
And don't get me wrong, I'm certainly not, Alabama for Blue Hill, I mean, my age,
And,
nobody should, absorb anybody's for us.
and my based on the comments and Damien's, is we'll send the bills out and we can let the chips fall where they may.
That's all we can do at this point, isn't it?
Unless I can find documentation from the past that says that that was the intent, that we're paying for current year's services ahead of time based on last year's expenses, which again, makes no sense to me because we're starting in the hole, basically.
that makes no
Well, you can't project the fires that are gonna occur in the community or township either.
No, and our budgets, our current year budgets are typically slightly higher than our past year's budgets.
Mhm. Well, and then they ask for numbers from us for really far, like 2 years out, right?
Correct, as I stated in my memo to the council, the issue.
They're doing their budget.
Correct, so because their budget, they're doing in 2024, their budget for 2025, they would like to know what their payment is in 2025, but we can't tell them that because we don't have a 2025 budget until the end of 2024.
Well, and under our current assumption, we don't know until the end of 2024 for their 25 billing.
Yeah,
Correct.
Expenses.
yeah, exactly.
This whole thing doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, and I think that, you know, on the one hand, send the preliminary billing out and see what you can find for
All right, we will do that. I'll work with Amy.
covering our own bases, and then we'll see what's what.
Maybe a memo explaining how this works.
Oh, they're aware of how it works.
You know how it works. There's been talk to them.
All right.
All right, so thank you for that. I just, again, I'm working on the transparency process. The second piece of this memo is one of the things that was talked about and has been talked about for several fire advisory board meetings is the current contract as it's currently formulated. I personally think it's a poorly written contract. I received some concurrence with that observation from a couple of the members. There's a number of pieces that I believe are missing. I listed them in the memo. One of the options to look at is the MAT contract, which is the Minnesota Association of Townships. In addition to the current components that we use, which are call hours plus net tax capacity, they throw in population as a third component. And while that's a lovely thing to add into the whole thing, only 2 out of the currently 6 members of the Fire Advisory Board group, Wynett and Spencer Brook, would benefit by us converting to the MAT contract. The other 4 members end up taking on more of the expenses because of how it shifts the proportion of the expenses based on that population piece. My recommendation is that the city not agree to going to the MAT contract, but I'm looking for council to kind of talk about it and then provide me some direction that we can take back to the Fire Advisory Board on the 6th of March, because that is the next meeting.
Well, if it goes to a vote, if you were to go for a vote to switch the MAT contract at the Fire Advisory Board meeting, you're probably gonna get a 4-2 vote anyway.
Yeah.
The poor aren't gonna want to increase. No.
And I don't know,
But I agree that the contract needs some work. There needs to be something in there about penalties for failure to pay. We've had problems with that. People just refusing to pay or wanting to choose what they're gonna pay. And so that for sure needs to be in there. Like when we expect payment, not just if you fail to pay, but it needs to be when you get your bill, you have this many days or however you want it to read, but I can't believe that's not in the contract right now. The other thing I would say about the contract, unfortunately, is, now that Blue Hill's out, that needs to be divided amongst everybody, which was unfortunate, but
correct.
we're not the ones to be mad at. It's Blue Hill. You can be mad at Blue Hill, not.
Theoretically, the expense amount goes down if Blue Hill's not in there, but.
Correct, and on page 2 of the memo, I actually took the 2024 budget as we have adopted it and applied the current split minus Blue Hill. And surprisingly, because of the fewer anticipated calls and fewer, less personnel costs, we actually end up being pretty close to what everybody's paying in 24 for 23 services, assuming again that we stay within budget in terms of, again, no catastrophic repairs and those types of things, which of course we can't predict. I am concerned that we might see, we have the potential with engine 2 doing a little off-roading that we might see a bump in insurance in the fire department. But I don't know that for sure, and I won't know that till May, so. All right, so I'm hearing that, our position will be to not go with the MAC contract, but that we still do need to revise the contract.
Yeah.
All right, Damien and I will work on that too.
Is this, Chief Picard, what do you suspect is gonna happen when you say we gotta stay with the current contract?
As far as,
Not the current, the current formula, not the MAT formula.
I don't think he was that involved in any of those conversations.
I was involved in a few of them, but I would say the contract does definitely need to be visited, and revised, like Jenny stated, there's gotta be some ramifications in there for non-payment, that kind of thing. I do know there are concerns from the other townships about their bills going up. So I guess that's just something that we'll have to address at the fire advisory board meeting.
All right,
Okay.
They're gonna go up every year.
Yeah, for everybody, ours go up, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but it is what it is.
all right,
That's all I had. I have direction, thank you.
that's what you needed.
That's what I needed.
Okay.
And again, I'm just sharing information.
All right, that brings us to the bill list.
I got no questions.
Only stack checks this month or this week, so. Just lost.
Well, I move to approve the February 22nd, 2024 check register containing checks 87862 to 87940 in the amount of $292,273.01. The payroll electronic payments as noted on the pay period 4 transmittal register in the amount of $82,194.99, and pay period 4 check register in the amount of $197,495.02.
Second.
Motion made, second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Brings us to bi-weekly report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, relatively short report. We are moving, starting to see a little bit of movement, with the FAA, working to complete our documents for the airport layout updates. We're gonna basically try to clean up that whole eastern boundary of the airport. We continue to meet regarding Baldwin Township. Just an FYI heads up, as we kind of get that draft AL document that we're gonna submit to the administrative law judge, you'll see that coming out to you. We would appreciate fresh eyes, because we're really close to it. So I'll be sending that out to you. And if anybody has any input or observations, we'll welcome them to make that document as robust and as clear to the administrative law judge as possible. We are still working on implementing the new permit processes. It's been a really great team effort between Minspec and Stacy and Mary Lou. And so we've got all kinds of new handouts. Once we get the digital versions, they'll be posted to the website. And both Stacy and Karen picked apart the last Metro West bill to make sure that we were not paying for things that we should not be paying. So kudos to them. That was a pretty big list of permits to go through and make sure that we weren't double paying. So I think they managed to shave off about $3,000. So We had another meeting with the developer interested in the 40-acre parcel south of the Lake Church. So we've got some information, that we're gonna be looking at and pulling some numbers together. And in terms of the legislature, CGMC, and LMC are tracking issues. I highlighted 2 items. Specifically, the changes to the school resource officer legislation from 2023. I read in today's update that that's moving again. It got out of the committee it was stuck in, and I think there's been some more amendments that are working. We have a meeting with the school next week to resurrect our own contract. And then there's a pretty big bill that would preempt a significant number of local zoning controls relating to housing. And CGMC is quite concerned of the impact to outstate cities in regards to transit-based and transit-related housing density increases. So more to come on that. And then Congressman Emmer does a monthly call. This one is pretty short. There's a funding request opportunity similar to Congressman Stauber's office, and I'll be submitting our request to fund the radio simulcast equipment. Again, hopefully at some point it'll get some traction. And then just the laundry list of upcoming meetings and reminders. We have the first of multiple elections next week. And then the week after is a pretty packed week, specifically relating to the Baldwin Township Incorporation hearing on Thursday. So you'll note we did cancel the study session, and we have posted the potential of a quorum, not knowing who might be at that hearing on Thursday. So we just wanted to hedge our bets. So with that, I have nothing else unless someone has questions.
Not here again. Thank you. Any reports, anybody?
The way the calendar worked out, the facilities will be meeting next week, or normally it's the Wednesday before our last meeting, but I don't know, once or twice a year, I guess they're happening that was.
Anybody else?
No.
That time.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?